Hey, if you've been searching for a home in Alameda or just curious about our neighborhoods, you might have heard of the Bronze Coast. Sounds like a name that's been on the map forever, like the Gold Coast or Fernside, but the fact is it's a relatively new name, not a historic one. However, this neighborhood does have quite a bit of history to it. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of that history, some of the architecture, give you some of the pros and cons of living here, and what it costs to buy a home in this part of Alameda. So stick around and let's break it down. The Bronze Coast is a marketing label for the mostly residential pocket east of the Gold Coast, bordered by the lagoon to the south, Central Avenue to the north, Park Street to the east, and Grand Street to the west. I've been selling real estate on this island since 2005, and I watched this name take hold in exactly that window. Before it caught on, agents and residents just called this part of the island Central Alameda. There was no Bronze Coast on a 1990s plot map. It's a branding overlay placed on top of a neighborhood that was already fully built, fully historic, and already had its own name. And that older name is Leonardville. And if you want to understand what you're actually buying when you buy in the Bronze Coast, Leonardville is where the story starts. Leonardville is named for one man, and that is Joseph A. Leonard. Between about 1890 and 1891, Leonard put up dozens of homes on the blocks around Union, Lafayette, San Jose, Clinton, and San Antonio, all clustered near the old Chestnut Station stop on the Encinal Avenue rail line. He even designed the train shelter there himself. By the time he was done, Leonard had built something like 150 homes on the island. That's a big enough footprint that the local press of the area started calling the whole area Leonardville, and it's the only neighborhood in Alameda ever informally named after its builder. Leonard's signature was the two-story Queen Anne Victorian, built for a wealthier buyer than a lot of his contemporaries were targeting. That's a useful distinction because just down the street you'll find work from Marcus and Remmel, who were building at the same time but specialized in something different. The high basement cottage, a smaller, more affordable Victorian form that's all over Alameda's West End. Add in later infill from the Craftsman era and a handful of Edwardian buildings, and you get the mix that gives you the neighborhood its texture now. Queen Anne next to Craftsman, and bungalow next to the occasional 1920s infill. There's also a practical layer to the housing mix here that's worth knowing if you're evaluating a property. When the Naval Air Station opened in 1940, a number of the larger historic homes in this part of the island got carved up into multi-unit buildings or replaced outright with small and mid-sized apartment buildings to house the wartime workforce. So some of what looks like a modest multifamily building today is standing on a lot that once held one of these grand single-family Victorians, and some of what looks like a single-family Victorian was actually converted into flats decades ago. One more piece of that same story is still operating on the same ground it started on. St. Joseph Notre Dame High School sits at 1011 Chestnut Street, right in the heart of the old Leonardville footprint. Founded all the way back in 1881 by the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur, originally as a girls' academy on the corner of Chestnut and San Jose. On walkability, this part of Alameda consistently scores one of the more walkable pockets on the island. Blue Dot Cafe is right on Encinal, along with Marty's Diner, and for groceries, Chestnut Encinal Market is close by. However, you are also a very short distance to South Shore for Safeway, Trader Joe's, and the rest of the shopping there. Encinal Nursery is nearby if you're the kind of homeowner who takes their gardens seriously, and it sits right on the edge of the Park Street dining and shopping district along with the historic Alameda Theater. Now, let's get into the numbers. I pulled 2 years of sold data for the neighborhood, single family and multifamily. Single family is the highest competition segment in the neighborhood. 84% of the single family homes here sold over list price and only 2.3% sold at exactly list. The median overbid was 13% or about $161,000 over asking. At the very top end, one Union Street home listed at 1.395 and closed at 2.27, a 63% overbid and $875,000 over list price. The lowest underbid was about 26% or $410,000 under list price. So there is a big range. Here's a chart with the median price per bedroom count. A 2-bedroom home median is just over $1 million, 3 bedrooms just over 1.3, 4 bedrooms just over 1.6, and 5-bedroom homes are at 1.85. However, over 2 years, there were only 5-bedroom home sales, so take this median with a grain of salt. Interestingly, the highest 3-bedroom sale actually topped the highest 5-bedroom sale by about $500,000. Multifamily tells a completely different story across duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and larger 5+ unit buildings, only about 7% of the sales landed exactly at list. And the median sale actually closed under asking, about 1% under, with over half of all multifamily sales in the neighborhood closing below list price. Here's the price range by building type. All multifamily combined ranges from $705,000 to $3.5 million. Duplexes range from $1.17 to $1.65. Triplexes $975,000 to $1.97. Fourplexes range from $705,000 to $1.85. 5+ unit buildings ranging from $1.12 to $3.5 million. So if you're a buyer, the takeaway is simple. Single family in the Bronze Coast is still a hot competitive market with limited inventory and strong demand. Multifamily is the opposite. There's real room to negotiate. At Compass, we have coming soon and private exclusives you won't find anywhere else. So if you are seriously searching, give me a call and let's talk about what you're missing. Here's why I walk clients through all of this. I have analyzed every neighborhood in Alameda to help you understand the market dynamics shaping each one. It's not a perfect science, but it gives you a much better idea of what homes are actually selling for, so we can plan a strategy. If you're thinking of moving here and not ready to buy, here's a chart with a list of the rental ranges. This chart is really for all of Alameda, not just the Bronze Coast. So let's talk about logistics and getting around the Bay Area. Downtown Oakland is about 13 minutes by car over the Park or High Street Bridge. Oakland International Airport is about 12 to 15 minutes. San Francisco over the Bay Bridge could be anywhere from 25 minutes to an hour, depending on when you're leaving. Silicon Valley is probably a good 40 to 60 minutes or more by car, depending on the time of day. There are bus routes directly to San Francisco on BART if you want to utilize public transportation, but not really any good transit options for Silicon Valley and the Peninsula. The nicer option, honestly, is the ferry from the Main Street or Seaplane Lagoon Ferry Terminal. It's a 20 to 25 minute ride straight into the San Francisco Ferry Building. No bridge traffic, no BART transfer. You can have your coffee in hand. It is one of the most pleasant commutes in the Bay Area, and it's a genuine amenity for anyone working in the city. So here are a few downsides to the Bronze Coast. Because there is a large number of multifamily properties in this area, street parking is a little more congested. It's no San Francisco, but it does feel like it's just a little tighter than other neighborhoods. Even nice homes can end up next to apartment buildings. I had a listing a few years ago. It's a beautiful Victorian with a large lot, but it was right next to a 3-story apartment building. So this definitely affected the final sale price. Historic homes also come with restrictions on renovations. Because it's really central, it puts you just a little further away from the bridges and access to get off the island. If you're considering multifamily properties, Alameda does have rental restrictions. So whether you are an experienced income owner or new to this, it's worth familiarizing yourself with the Alameda Rent Board website. Handling things like evictions and rent increases can be a very expensive mistake if not done correctly. I will leave a link here and in the description for the Rent Board website. So the next time someone mentions the Bronze Coast, you can give them a little history on the name and the area. Thanks for watching my video on the Bronze Coast here in our lovely island city of Alameda. If you are interested in this or other neighborhoods in Alameda or the East Bay, my contact information is in the description and right here. I'm always happy to be a resource, happy to chat. No pressure, no hard sell, just see if we're a good fit to work together. And if you enjoyed the video, I hope you'll share it. I always appreciate hearing your comments. If you want to see more from this channel, you can subscribe. My name is Kaake. I'm with Compass Real Estate here in Alameda, and I'll see you on the next one.